Swadikap, good afternoon. So thank you to Dr. Sumani Wacharasin for the Thai language briefing just now. Key points in the briefing for the Thai version just now. Firstly, of course, was the preparations for the Songkran festival, wherein the Department of Health had actually proposed the strategy and plan to both the EOC meeting at the Ministry of Public Health, as well as the daily CCSA meeting regarding the strategization and plan that is being drafted for the prevention of the spread of COVID during the Songkran season, which will actually be quite a number of days, as of course you would know. The second important key point is, of course, about the booster dose, wherein the variable that has been actually decreasing or increasing the number of deaths from Omicron around the world is actually the booster dose. So Dr. Sumani gave us a presentation just now regarding the percentage of the population of certain countries in Europe as well as in Asia, and the higher the number of booster dose administered in any country would mean that there would be less fatalities from the Omicron variant. So that's an interesting data that we have been analyzing and receiving and bringing to you today. So the general situation for today, Monday, the 7th of March, 2022, is that we have here that the average number of new community-acquired cases reported per day in Thailand has remained in the range of 21,000 to 22,000. Although the daily reported case numbers continue to fluctuate, Thailand is still not seeing a steep rise as seen in other countries due to the Omicron variant. The total number of cases reported on the 26th of February 2022, a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, is 25,615, and that was actually the highest ever reported in Thailand. The rising COVID-19 vaccination rates in Thailand continue to significantly reduce levels of severe illnesses and deaths caused by the strain, and high vaccination rates also help to reduce the transmission of COVID-19. And as mentioned just now, the important variable is, of course, the booster dose, as evidenced by the percentage of fatalities in other countries. The more booster dose, the less chances of fatalities. So, therefore, we continue to strongly recommend that members of the public remain vigilant and practice VUCA, as we have mentioned quite often. Now, an update on the arrival of travelers. We'll turn to that now. We have a slide coming up there. So during the 1st to the 6th of March, up until yesterday, the 6th of March, the first week of March, we have 48,950 travelers entering Thailand. Of this number, the majority, or 41,386 travelers, continue to enter via the test and go or quarantine exemption scheme. We have 6,570 entering via the sandbox scheme and 994 with the alternative quarantine, meaning unvaccinated or not fully vaccinated incoming travelers. Also, the majority of international travelers come from these top 10 countries of origin in the past week up until today in March. You see that on screen: Germany, UK, Singapore, US, Russia, and the other countries. For the general situation in Thailand for today, the 7th of March, we have new confirmed case at 21,162 cases. As compared to new recoveries today, actually exceeds that. I think that hasn't been seen in a couple of weeks. We have new recoveries at 23,159 cases. Active cases still remain being treated in facilities is 230,459, and a portion of that is severe cases, as reported by Dr. Sumani. We have 65 fatalities reported for today. New infections and clusters still arise from various clusters. There had actually been a new cluster found in a construction site. Still, clusters are found within families and schools and offices. As for the distribution in terms of provinces in Thailand, we'll have a slide coming up for you. We have the top 10 provinces, being first Bangkok, mostly provinces in the central and southern part of the country. Bangkok, Nakhon Si Thammarat, Samut Prakan, Chonburi, and Nonthaburi, as you see on screen. As mentioned, the green ones are less than the previous day. Bangkok remains to be having numbers today more than the previous day, as well as Nonthaburi, the province adjacent to Bangkok. In terms of vaccination progress, yesterday we administered over 82,000 doses. The accumulated number now is close to 125 million doses administered in Thailand. This brings us to 77.6% of the population receiving their first dose, 71.7% the second dose, and 30.3% the third or booster dose. Now, there's been some talk about turning COVID-19 into an endemic disease in Thailand instead of a pandemic. So according to a study carried out by the Ministry of Public Health, the pandemic situation in Thailand has actually stabilized and continued to improve due to the high rate of vaccine rollout and good public health care system. So its status should be changed soon to an endemic by July this year. So this study came up with the following conclusion that 1, Thailand has dealt with the pandemic quite successfully due to good leadership, management, human resources, medicines, medical facilities, good supply of vaccines, good operational wise, and most importantly, the participation and dedication by all sectors of society. And second, that several countries such as Spain, India, China, along with the state of California in the United States, are getting ready to treat COVID-19 as an endemic disease as well. So the experts believe that the pandemic is approaching its end because new variants are becoming less dangerous. Also, the rate of infection in Thailand is slowing down and should improve enough to enter an endemic stage by July. Now, just to note that this is a study carried out by the Ministry of Public Health, and July is actually quite a number of months away. So hoping for the best in that study and transition. Also, I'd just like to touch a bit about shortly about innovation, a promising nasal spray to launch in the third quarter of 2022. This is being developed under the joint efforts by Chulalongkorn University, Silpakorn University, and the Health Systems Research Institute, or HSRI, as well as the government pharmaceutical organization and a private bioscience company. It's a joint effort, and this cooperation agreement has been signed to produce an anti-COVID nasal spray, could be subject for global research. A team of researchers has undertaken the development of the spray since the onset of the pandemic 2 years ago with the support from the private sector and the state-run HSRI Institute. And it has reached a point where a prototype antibody was obtained and subsequently patented. So now the technology is being transferred to the private sector, which is conducting clinical research to meet the standards needed for registration with the country's FDA, or Food and Drug Administration. And this spray is expected to be made available for sale in the third quarter of this year. So just some information regarding innovation and development about concerning COVID-19 in Thailand. So just in closing, due to the confirmed cases, recent confirmed cases, as I mentioned, in the range of 21 to 22,000, still relatively high, of course. Please continue to keep your guard up and don't let your guard down. Just to urge everyone to remain vigilant. There has been, of course, a lot of information, news about people around us contracting COVID, be it friends or family or in the offices. I hear these information quite often, quite every day actually. It's getting closer to ourselves. So we have to be mindful of our common mission in fighting against the current wave, and we hope to achieve our goal of downgrading COVID-19 to an endemic disease, as mentioned in Thailand, and eventually return to living our lives as normal. So very hopeful about that. Please remain strong, everybody. For the rest of the week, I hope to see you again on Thursday. So thank you very much for your attention. สวัสดีครับ